It's time for Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday.
The North Texas Honda dealers want to help you score some deals on award-winning Hondas like the rugged and reliable 2023 Ridgeline. Stop by your Helpful Honda dealer today or visit ntxhondadealers.com to learn more.
Thank you, Honda. You can tell that we do not work on prompter at Bally.
Yeah, no.
Because reading things
is so hard.
Not our strong
If you
suit.
looked at us and said, I need the two of you to talk for 4 hours consistently, we'd be like,
Awesome.
cool.
No
They're
big
like,
deal.
I need you to read this one sentence line. And we're like, words? I'm an awful reader.
Have I ever seen that word? It's ta-ha. Oh, it's the.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's time for Helpful Honda Mailbag Friday. Get your questions in on high school football, college football, recruiting, lifestyle, romance, travel on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Speaking of which, going back to that conversation just real fast, I only call, because it annoys Ish, I don't call y'all writers, I call you typers, because tell me the last time that you've actually, like, written something, you know? Like, y'all are typers, you're not writers.
Okay. I don't know if I love that.
Exactly.
But that's okay.
See, but it's funny, because legitimately, you don't write anything, you type.
Yeah, but
I know.
I'm not going to argue with you about the art of writing. Anyway. Okay, let's talk a little bit about last night. Last night was a big game, a big week across the state of Texas. And we talked about this before, and we tailed it, but I want to get to this. I wonder if this is an inflection point and we're going to see more Week 11 Thursday games next year.
Yep.
That teams are going to go to each other and say, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and move it up to Thursday, get an extra day before the playoffs. I wonder if that's going to be the case. I wonder if they're going to get a taste, they're going to realize they like it, and they're going to move forward. And I've got to be honest, this is a selfish thing for me. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you had this feeling last night.
Oh.
I was sitting there working and, like, just doing, like, starting, filling in, like, ranking stuff, just, who won and lost and stuff, just a lot of the basic stuff, still doing brackets, this, that, and the other. And then, like, it dawned on me that it was Thursday night, and I was like, it was the weirdest feeling. Mm-hmm. It was the weirdest feeling because it was a complete night of high school football.
Oh, yeah.
There are going to be more games tonight than there were last night, right? Mm-hmm. But it's going to be close. It's going to be close because there were 231 last night. I think there were 569 total. Mm-hmm. And so let's just say there's 40 on Saturday, right? So it's like, let's just say there's 300. Just that's some real quick and dirty math. But, this was a massive night of high school football. And as somebody who has a ton to do, mm-hmm. I kind of love it.
Man, I loved it for a lot of different reasons. One, I honestly think, if you want to take I'll talk about our side first. One, yes, absolutely. Makes our lives so much easier to be able to start having so many more results put in on Thursday rather than Friday. Two, just from a normal Thursday night football perspective, usually I'm at a game. Last night I was not able to be at a game because my day job was getting in the way. Yeah. But it's like the being able to take that and really dive into some of those games and the numbers and everything like that, to not have to do that in the sum of all the Friday stuff, so much fun. And also too, to be honest, one that gives the coaches more time to figure out, if they know who they're playing, where they're going to be playing at. Mm-hmm. And then also it gives their kids an extra day heading into playoffs to be able to get a little rest. And I don't see anyone that would be like, at week 11 too, you want that extra day. You're not worried about trying to adjust your schedule as much.
So
I think it was great for everybody.
Here's a perfect example of one that I thought last night was interesting. So Richmond Randall played at Huntsville last night, and it was more or less straight up for a playoff spot. Mm-hmm. It ended up that the winner did get in. Huntsville won, and they got in the playoffs. Randall would have gotten in with a win, but there was other things. It was in concert with things, but you know what I'm saying. But as you think about that, if Randall had to drive, that's a 2-hour drive from Richmond to Huntsville. Mm-hmm. Let's say that they didn't move the game to tonight, or they didn't move the game from tonight. Let's say they get on the road, they get to Huntsville, it's lightninged out. They drive back. Then they got to drive, theoretically, back to Huntsville the next day. Mm-hmm. You're spending 8 hours on the bus. Mm-hmm. And you're losing a day of prep ahead of there. And it also takes away the possibility of playing a Thursday night high school football or a playoff game next week because you got to satisfy the 5-day rule. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I do wonder if you're going to start to see a schedule shift going forward.
Yeah, I was a big fan of that. Keep doing that.
So last night, the games of the night I thought were in large part lived up to the hype. Melissa stuns Lovejoy late to win the district championship. It's a great win for Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
I have serious questions about Lovejoy heading into the playoffs.
I've had serious questions about Lovejoy since I saw him play North Crowley.
I've got some questions.
They don't got that dog in them.
But Melissa, it's a great win for them. I'm very impressed with Trevor Ham and what he's been able to do at the quarterback spot. That was a great win.
I think that spoke a lot to the non-district schedule that Melissa had, too, because they scheduled tough. And I feel like that was exactly the type of game that they look back on and go, that's why we did that.
Yeah. We talked about it yesterday, but Fort Bend Marshall and Dayton. Fort Bend Marshall puts it on them. They win it, I want to say 52-21, something along those lines. And that does feel like exactly what you need heading into the playoffs. This feels like a much more battle-tested Fort Bend Marshall team, and that should behoove them going forward.
And not just battle-tested, like dominantly battle-tested.
The elsewhere, okay, the
Kilgore
game that
and
Steph was
Chapel
at.
Hill.
Chapel Hill beats Kilgore 32-20. In large part thanks to just big explosive plays, which is kind of their calling card. They hit home runs. They're a home running team. I'm very impressed with that defense. That defense has come a long way. A long way, because that's a big, physical, Longview or Kilgore team that kind of bears down on you, and they were more than capable of that. I want to see when the brackets come out, and I want to see the path that they would have to walk out of Region 3.
It's difficult.
It's tough.
But I don't know the level
I'm
of
willing
difficult.
to put them back into that conversation, though. Like, to me, they lose their first two, and they look ugly. Like, bad losses. One of them was a Gilmer, right? The other one was to Van, which is an okay loss, right? Yeah. But since then, they rattle off the final 8. That's impressive. I also don't throw dirt on Kilgore. It's also a chance that that's the first of 2 meetings we see between them. So, very impressed by Chapel Hill and their win last night. Elsewhere, what else was popping last night? There was a couple of near misses. Timpson got in a dogfight with who were they playing last night? Joaquin?
No, they've already played Joaquin.
Timpson got in a dogfight with, I've got it here, Garrison.
Yes.
44-38.
Yeah, they play Joaquin like
44-38. Their defense is, now it doesn't matter because Terry Bussey went off.
Right.
But, they finished 10-0. Other games of note last night, I'm trying to think. A couple 6-man games that got moved up. Balmorhea beat Sanderson. I did not know that game got moved up to Thursday, but Balmorhea beat Sanderson to win the district, and so they are into the playoffs rolling as district champions with the one loss only in the opener to Westbrook? Somebody? Anyway, so keep an eye on Balmorhea. They look very good. Elsewhere across the state of Texas, I'm trying to think of anything else that really caught my eye. I said, there are a couple of near misses. Cuero was tied with LaGrange at halftime. Cuero and LaGrange were knotted up at 7 at half, and then they won like 56-7. So they woke up from their first half nap and put it on them. But that was.
God, did you see this? You see this, Kev? Did you see the Trinity and Bell?
Oh my God.
So Bell had not. It had been 24 years that Bell had not beat Trinity.
And by the way, they played every year. To be clear, when we say 24 years, we don't mean
consecutive.
Like they played in
1924, and then they took a 20-year hiatus.
No, they have lost 24 straight.
They are up. Everyone's going, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. All of a sudden, I pull up Twitter. They lost.
Yeah.
Trinity ended up, which good win for Trinity, honestly, which is a program that has been pretty stinking down this year, to claw your way back, but a heartbreaker to Bell. 1997 since 1997, since I've been alive, they have not won. And 27-24, that one was just like, come on, man.
Fulshire beats Richmond Foster.
Yeah.
It's such a great win and such a great year for Nick Caduti and Fulshire. And now
9-1, right? Yeah, they're only lost to Angleton.
Yeah, and now Richmond Foster is in scoreboard watching mode. They need Friendswood to beat Magnolia West if they're going to get into the playoffs.
And that would be the second time that they've missed the playoffs. Last year when they missed it was the first time since 2007. So things not going ideally.
Flew under the radar, but Katy Morton Ranch won last night. They beat Katy Jordan. That seals Katy to Division II. We thought that was going to be the case, but there was a path for Katy to go D1 still. That will not happen. Katy is going to the Division II bracket as Morton Ranch gets the win last night. A shout-out to Brazos Wood. Brazos Wood beats Clear Lake 52-24 in what was a straight-up playoff game. That was a team that had not had a winning season or made the playoffs in a decade, since 2012. And Joe Dale Carey shows up in year one and gets them 7-3 into the playoffs. That is a hell of a coaching job, what he was able to do.
I don't know if you saw, I tweeted this out last night, but I stumbled upon the fact that Clear Lake has a linebacker named Cecil Dessendorfer. And I just think that that's a fantastic
Hell yeah,
name.
brother.
He said, Coach described him as a true motor throwback player that's tough as nails and always around the ball. So I tweeted that out, and then people start tagging him, and they're like, he's a beast. And Cecil's, Mr. Cecil Sr., I guess, Papa Cecil is the name of his thing. He commented. So anyway.
What's his name?
Cecil C. Dessendorfer.
Dessendorfer.
Yeah, but his dad's Twitter handle is at Papa Cecil _D. Amazing.
Love him.
Papa Cecil.
Wichita falls into the playoffs because we got dubbed the Coyote last night.
Dub for president.
Dubbed the Coyote. Got tweeted.
I quote tweeted and I said playoff bound dub.
Yeah, that's right. Not sure if you saw, but Coppell beat Plano. Now Plano's interesting. Plano lost their final.
I thought they were playing Plano East.
No, Coppell played Plano.
Plano. Okay.
Plano. Coppell finishes 9-1. The bit of I want you to put the word out there that we back up is kind of venturing on not a bit anymore. Like they're 9-1 and like pretty good. They get McKinney in round one, and that'll be a real dogfight. Midlothian Heritage survives Everman by 1 point in a real fun game.
Is that the second or third game Everman has had a 1 point game?
I know
their one with Stephenville
They have two losses,
was
and they're both by 1 point.
1 point. Yeah. God darn it. Bad luck, E-Block.
So there's that. And then the shout out of the night. The shout out of the night belongs to the Rough Riders of Boys Ranch. Boys Ranch, you may remember, as the team that snapped the 49-game losing streak last year. I believe we had Aaron Wampler on our show.
Yeah.
They're into the playoffs. They beat Booker last night. And Boys Ranch, for the first time in 14 years, is going dancing.
Well, and explain that, because I don't know if everyone knows. Like,
So Boys Ranch is located on Cal Farley's Boys Ranch up there in the Panhandle, up near Amarillo.
I've passed by it before.
Yes. And Boys Ranch is it's a school for troubled at risk.
At risk, yeah.
There you go. That's the way I would put it. For at-risk youth. It's a home for at-risk youth that also plays football and plays basketball and stuff like that. And they had been down bad, like one of the worst teams in the state. They'd lost 49 consecutive games before they won a game last year. They had not made the playoffs since 2008. They haven't had a winning season since 2008, but they are in the win column. That is, by the way, the only time they've ever made the playoffs. The second time they've ever made the playoffs has been playing since 1962.
That's awesome.
In the UIL.
The celebration video that was shared on Twitter was very, very cool.
They're dancing, and that is one of the stories of the year. Unbelievable. A big win over Booker last night to clinch a playoff spot. So congratulations to the Rough Riders of Boys Ranch. Very, very well deserved there. All right, Pickle, let's get to some questions. I'm sure if there's some Thursday cleanup, if you got questions about that, we can ask those, but if we didn't get to it. So anyway, what you got?
Let's head down to the RGV, and it's a matchup that we've talked about a lot, but I think that it's even more prevalent now. What is the chance of PSJ North and Vela for the 5A Division I Region 4 championship?
So let me see if I can pull up the bracket as it stands right now. So they would meet in a regional final. PSJA North is going to have, assuming that they take care of business, they would have a second-round date with Corpus Christi Miller.
Yes.
That is, and then Vela might have a second-round date with Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial. That's the real turn. To me, if they get past that, if they win those games, the area-round games against the teams from District 14, Miller for PSJA North and Vets for Vela, I think that would be the favorite. Right. I think it would, at that point, they would be favored to meet in a regional final.
And I would like to say, I think that they would be favored as it stands right now. I think they would be favored in that game, but that's a huge hump to get over when push comes to shove.
Let me see what I can find here. According to our computer, right, and the computer's not perfect. The computer's an unfeeling robot. Both Vela and PSJA North would be favorites in that game. Both.
That's what I figured.
They'd be favored, according to the computer. But at the same time, the computer doesn't know history. The computer doesn't know pressure. The computer doesn't know all of the things.
Two of those teams are very used to being there. Two of them are not.
Yes, absolutely. Both the two teams have made deep playoff runs of late, and it ain't the teams that we're talking about. So the computer can only tell you that. The computer thinks that on paper they would be favored. So on paper, the favorite to make a regional final would be PSG North and Edinburgh Vela. But they don't play games on paper. So we'll see. We'll see. What's next, Pickle?
We'll stay down in kind of that area. Go a little bit west.
Amarillo.
Montana.
Montana.
We're heading up to Montana.
If you ask me a high school football question about Montana, you're fired. Not you. I'm talking to the viewers.
Oh,
like,
cool.
You're fired. I'll fire you.
I was like, dude, you fired me 75,000 times, and I just keep I think you haven't fired me in a while because I think you know that it's not going to work. I'm just going to keep showing up. A suddenly kind of interesting game here that I think at the beginning of the year we thought was going to be halfway through the season. No, Gregory Portland and Corpus Christi Flower Bluff. So both of them kind of having Gregory Portland, you'll remember, they lost their quarterback super early on, and we kind of plummeted them down. Flower Bluff got some early losses, and we plummeted them down. But now they're both 4-0, vying for the district championship tonight.
Yeah, it is a district title game. They're in District 15 5A Division 1, and Division 2, rather. And what I appreciate about Gregory Portland is that
they've just figured it out.
They really have. Their two losses are, by the way, to unbeaten teams, Bernie and Corpus Christi Calallen. And
both teams that are looking really
good.
Like really good.
The question for me is that, and especially I would compare this Flower Bluff team, because Flower Bluff enters this game, 2 losses, I want to say?
3.
3 losses, 6 and 3. Flower Bluff's losses on the year, according to the computer that I'm playing, they also have a loss to Bernie, a close one. They also have a loss to Calallen, and they have a loss to Alice. 2 of those were close, one of them was not. What is interesting to me is when you take a look at the Gregory Portland defense, the offense that they're going to face tonight against Flower Bluff probably profiles closest to Bernie. That is when their defense had their worst game. So, can guys like Jaden Palcio, the quarterback for Flower Bluff, and the running game get going against this Gregory Portland defense? That's the question for me. I think I like G-Port, especially at home. I think that is going to be my pick. But this is a one-possession game. This is a coin flip type game. Very intrigued by it. I'm going with Gregory Portland. I think
their defense is better.
I think their defense has improved.
I just don't know if Flower.
But this is also, in my opinion, the second best offense they've faced. I think it's a better offense. It's hard to say that, but I think it's a better offense than Calallen's. At least it's a more explosive offense than Calallen's, and especially more it's going to have 10 weeks to cook. So that's what I'm interested in finding out, is how does Gregory Portland handle this Flower Bluff offense? I think I like G-Port, but Flower Bluff's offense I think could pose some big issues there. So there you go. What is next, Mademoiselle Pickle?
How will 4A Division 1 Region 2 District 6 end up?
Jeez, you could just say District 6.
District
4A Division 1. Is that what you want?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Apparently.
Okay. 6 4A Division 1. Let's go to it. The Lake Worth District, I suppose it is? Yeah. Okay.
Sounds right.
So, Kennedale is now, I believe, Kennedale's the only team left to play in this district. Mm-hmm. And if they win, then they win the district championship, right? Because they've got the head-to-head win over Lake Worth. But if Dunbar wins, then at that point, Dunbar doesn't have one. No, and then so at that point, Lake Worth would be the district champion, and then you would be talking about a third-place Kennedale team. So Kennedale, I believe, can only finish first or third here. I like Kennedale in this game. I think Kennedale is going to win the district championship. I think they're going to go out there. They had that kind of weird. They had that weird hiccup a couple of weeks ago
against Dunbar.
Against is that right? Lake Worth. No, I got that wrong.
Lake
I'm sorry.
Worth
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Lake Worth beat Kennedale. I'm sorry. I got that wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 10-3.
So it does not matter. Lake Worth's win last night solidifies them as a district champion. This is for second and third. The winner of I think Kennedale's going to win, be second place. I think Dunbar will be will be third place. And then you've got Eastern Hills and Western Hills. And who won that game head to head? Eastern Hills and Western Hills. Western Hills won, so it'll be Western Hills fourth. So Lake Worth, I like Cannondale to beat Dunbar tonight, and then Western Hills fourth would be my projection. So I hope that's helpful as I'm reading districts. I'll be honest, I've not paid a ton of attention to 6-4A Division 1 in the past couple, because like it's very top heavy. It's those two teams. After we got past that Lake Worth and Cannondale game, it was just like, okay, kind of wake me up to the playoffs.
Type.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wake me up to the playoffs game. So, all right, what's next?
Have we ever had a state championship with the roof open? If not, what are the chances we get one?
No,
it's not going to happen.
No, I mean,
Oh,
you mean at AT&T?
AT&T,
I mean, technically the roof was open at Texas Stadium.
Yeah,
right.
Because it.
But
no, I think 0%. It means that. Yeah,
it won't happen. The reason they play them there
is because we don't have to worry about weather.
Is because, yeah. I mean, and go look at. I mean, this is now a tangent.
Mm-hmm.
Go look at the history of AT&T Stadium and when they open the roof.
It's barely ever.
Almost never.
Yeah.
Almost never.
They literally did last weekend, and that's the first time all season that they have.
They'll do it, yeah. And one of the things that
this goes back to your Rangers rant.
It does. One of the things that bothers me about retractable roofs, I'm down with retractable roofs, but I want it to default to open. That's for me. I want it to default to open. Mm-hmm. I understand that if you want it to be the most level playing field and you want weather to play no factor in it, fine. Seal it up and go. But I want, for retractable roofs, I want the default to be open, right? One of my favorite trips I ever took, my wife and I went to Seattle. Seattle has a ballpark, Safeco Field, that has I think it's still Safeco Field, that has it has a retractable roof. We went to 2 games up there. One of them with the roof closed because it was raining. The other one with the roof open, even though it was like in the 50s, right? I think that's great. I think for me, I would rather default to the roof being open. With that said, AT&T Stadium does not share in that belief system with me. No. And B, I know that the UIL, one of the reasons that they really value their partnership with AT&T Stadium and why the only time the single-site state championship games have not been at AT&T Stadium was at the NFL stadium, the other NFL stadium in the state, and why the only other place that they would, in my opinion, I haven't really pinned a UIL member down about this, but the only other place they would consider would be the Alamo Dome.
The Dome, yeah. It
is because
indoors.
they value that indoor thing.
Yeah.
It's also better, I mean, to get into the weeds, it's better for TV. It's better for a lot of different things. So I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
December's a tough sell. Even though it's not going to, only be in the 50s here, but like
but I'll tell you though, man, the wind around AT&T Stadium is always insane. Oh, I don't care what time of year it is.
Arlington's pretty flat.
Yeah, it does not matter. But it is cold with that wind. And I have been in AT&T Stadium before at a Cowboys game when they had the roof open, and it was probably in the upper 70s that day. And when you get up there anywhere the 3rd or 4th level when they have that thing open, because when they open the roof is not the only thing that opens. They also open the glass that's on the side of the stadium, which is where the direction that the wind is typically blowing. Even at 70 something, and I know I'm a weenie, but it's very chilly with the wind up there.
Yeah.
So it's just not going to happen in December because the whole concourse would be open to the wind.
Yeah. So there you go. I love the idea. Love that energy. Just not going to happen. Not realistic. What's next, Michael?
Hypothetically, you're an SMU fan. How do you feel about Coach Dyke's instant success at your rival school? If you're just talking from a fan's perspective, you hate it. There's no way. If you're a diehard SMU fan and you see him go to your rival school, you're going to hate it.
I've had talks with SMU fans who are really salty about it. They're real salty about it. And they should be. I mean, that's what, how would you feel if the head coach at your alma mater went to your biggest rival?
Yeah.
Like, that's what happened there. I imagine they're rooting against him in every game. Like they don't want him to win. And furthermore,
if you're an SMU fan, they were rooting against TCU in every game anyway.
Well, and the other thing about that, the other thing for me, even though I think I'm of the opinion, I don't know, I'm in like a post-fan portion of my life where I'm just
Yes.
like, I'm just like acknowledging these things. I think that like what Sonny Dykes did there at SMU was really impressive and like helped to elevate that program and put them in a better place. And so I think they should celebrate him, but like I also know that's not how things work.
I think that they could celebrate him if he went to any other university.
And
I
that's
think
the
it's when you go to the rival that's when
If you're the head coach
you're
of
dead.
Michigan and you go to Ohio State, then you're going to be
That would be
forever
like
the
Sark
worst.
having unbelievable, like a really good stint at Texas and then going to Texas A&M.
Or OU, yeah.
Yeah, or OU, yeah, either one.
No, but I also here's the other thing. If you want to get like more like nitty gritty and nuts and bolts about this, if you're an SMU fan, and the problem with TCU having this kind of success is that you guys are theoretically going after the same kind of recruits. You're going after the same kind of recruits. Now TCU has always recruited better than SMU, in large number of reasons, conference affiliation and things like that. But also, like that is another problem. You know what I mean? So there you go.
The Seattle ballpark is T-Mobile Park now.
T-Mobile
not
Park,
Safe,
thank you.
Not Safeco.
I am old.
Thoughts on this? Might be a game going a little bit under the radar, but thoughts on Colleen Ellison and Lake Belton tonight?
Yeah, this is an interesting game, and it's got major playoff implications because I put out that tweet about like the games that are straight up not straight up for playoff spots.
That would be this one.
And this is not one. This doesn't qualify because technically you could have had a logjam at 5-3. You cannot now because Shoemaker won, so they're 6-2. So this is straight up a playoff game. The winner is in, the loser is out. For Ellison, I just don't know if they can score enough.
No.
That's the biggest issue for me for Danny Servants' squad is that their offense has just been so fits and starts, and especially in a game. Now look, maybe the weather is going to tamp down the scoring, and maybe Micah Hudson won't be able to go off, but like. This is like, unfortunately, like this is an Ellison team that's only averaging like 23 points a game, and so their offense has been too inconsistent for me to trust. For Lake Belton, they've just got the explosive offense, and I like if they get to 31 points, they're going to win, in my opinion. Right? This is very much. This is going to sound like an insult, and I don't mean it that way, but I view it in the same way that I view like A&M. Of like A&M's offense kind of is what they are right now, right? 28 points is probably where they're maxing out. Maybe they get to 35, they get to like a special teams. So it's got to be on their defense to hold them down.
Yep.
Can they do that? Yes, I think their defense has been pretty good this year. But they're also going up against a pretty high-powered Lake Belton attack that I think is going to provide for some matchup problems for Ellison. That's why I like Lake Belton to get that final.
Yeah,
playoff
if you have a Lake Belton, if we look down at like, we're going to say halfway through the second quarter and Lake Belton's at 21 points, it's
probably over.
Probably over at that
I just have a
point.
hard time. Like, they're capable of it. And
Now
they're
at
gonna pull
halftime,
out,
if it's even 14,
and
you
they're
know,
going to
then it's
pull out
like,
all the
okay.
stops. Danny Servants is gonna empty the bag, but like I just don't know if I trust the Ellison offense enough. And I think that Lake Belton offense is going to score. And so what do you do then? What's next, Pickle?
Let's go down to the greater Houston area.
Yeah.
So Galveston Ball is gonna win 9-5A Division 1.
Yes.
There's nothing.
Oh, Galveston Ball is my most fascinating
So
team.
they have only allowed 14 points.
Yes.
They've out of 9 games. They had their first game of the year against Lamarck. They allowed 7.
They scored.
And then,
Lamarck, hold on, because I'm fascinated, because I've done the research. Lamarck scored a touchdown with about a minute left in the first half of their opener. And then they pitched like 7 straight shutouts.
Yeah, they did not give up another 7 points until they played Houston Walthrop on October 22nd.
Yes. And I want to say
And
that
that's
was
it. Those are
also
the
in the
only
second
points.
quarter.
Yep.
Yes. So they basically went like almost 7 full games. 8 full games shutting them out. So, bye, Will.
Bye, Willie.
Bye, Will.
So you have that
yes.
likely to be matched up against
know.
either Foster or Magnolia West. Defense
Yeah.
in the bi-district round would be insane.
Yeah. Now, hold on. Now, let me make sure I'm looking. I'm going to try to do a little bit of quick math here. No, there's not a way. That's unfortunate because the game I want to see. The game I want to see is Galveston Ball and Fulshire.
Yes.
Because Fulshire's offense is crazy.
Crazy.
And it's like, oh my gosh, what if like we just like smash them together? Like, it really is for me like taking like action figures and just smashing them together.
Yeah,
right?
the Rock'em Sock'em robots are doing this.
Okay, right. I mean, and here's the thing. Magnolia West's offense is no slouch either. Like, their offense is humming right now, averaging something along the lines of 30 points a game, right? The Galveston Ball is fascinating because their defense has been literally record-setting, and yet they have not played anyone.
No.
Anyone. Their best win is that win in week 2 on the road at Texas City when they won 7-0.
Uh-huh.
Okay? That's a good win. Texas
It's
City's
a
okay.
Good, it's a good travel distance, too.
But, like, they have been heavy favorites in every other game, at least 2 touchdown favorites in every other game. And so it's like Galveston Ball is such a mystery box. Because, like, maybe they are just a product of a bad schedule. And they're going to face a team like Magnolia West or Richmond Foster in the first round of the playoffs, and they're going to get throttled. And they're going to give up 60 points, right? Maybe that. Or maybe they're secretly the greatest defense of all time.
Yeah.
And we just don't know it yet.
But we'll figure it out.
Fascinated. I think it's probably somewhere in between.
Yeah.
But, like, I think they're a really good defense that also has benefited from a bad schedule. But, like, I'm really interested.
Yeah.
I'm going to be locked in on Gal Ball and whoever they play in the first round. Galveston Ball is up there with they're like my pet team.
Yes, and that, like, they are, my Hitchcock is, me to Hitchcock is you to Galveston Ball.
Yeah, Galveston Ball. I'm fascinated by Sheldon Benite's squad. Yeah. Anyway.
Which, oh, by the way, I know for a fact my Hitchcock love has been spread to the community of Hitchcock because I get tagged in, like, every Hitchcock tweet of all time. Like,
it.
Lloyd Jones III tags me in his highlights every single week, which is, like, their superstar quarterback. And I'm like, I could walk in and everyone would wave the Hitchcock
You've
flag.
now been here long enough to understand the fun of just, like, picking a team that makes you happy.
Yes.
And, like, Galveston Ball makes me
happy.
So, all right, let's do 2 more.
Okay. Here's we'll go here. On chicken strips, do you prefer ranch dressing or cream gravy?
Well, it's real Sophie's choice there. I will just chicken strips.
Yeah.
Gravy. Now I know your answer because you.
Yes.
Really? Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's my deal. I get both.
I get both.
Porque no los dos. But when the chicken tenders are piping hot, I love them in the ranch. What I do is, and this is masterful thinking. I'm gonna pat myself on the back here. Chicken strips stay hot for a long time.
Yes.
Their shelf life is good. They stay hot.
Yeah,
so I like dipping them in the ranch because the ranch is cool. Fries get cold quickly. So in order to reheat my fries naturally, I like dipping them in the gravy because the gravy is hot.
Yes.
That's my train of thought.
Okay. I love it. I think that's fair, and I think that's a thoughtful way of going about it. I say both. I've told you my Chicken Express order is I get the tendies, and I might be stopping there on the way home. Get the tendies, and I get the gravy. Like I say, I want the ranch and the chipotle and the jalapeno ranch, and they always ask me. They're like, "Do you want the cream gravy too?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want the cream gravy." Yeah, that serendipity salt, baby. Give me that hot serendipity salt. All right, last one. Give me an ender.
If you weren't covering football, what sport would you like to talk or write about? What sport would you like to cover?
That's easy.
Baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball. Baseball is in my opinion. Baseball is, in my opinion, the ultimate talking sport. It is the sport that has the most amount of data to break down, the most amount of debates going on, the most amount of, I think, because of the sheer number of data points that you get, and then, like, so for example, like, okay, so playoff baseball is awesome, and I'm not here to tell you that playoff baseball isn't awesome.
I think everyone, even non-baseball fans, can agree that playoff baseball is great.
Yeah. Like high leverage baseball.
Regular season baseball, but
is exciting. There's a small part of me that wishes that it was like the Premier League, where it's like you play your games, and whoever the standings end at the end of the year,
then you
that's
get bumped
the champion.
up.
That's the champion, right? So like, Whoever has the most wins, you get 100. You know, you play a round robin, you play everybody like the Premier League. You play a double round robin, you play everybody home and away. You play 38 matches. Number of points you got at the end, then tiebreaker, goal differential, et cetera, et cetera. You go from there. Because you are taking a game and you're making it like you're taking a game that is ultimately about stamina and you're making it about sudden bursts. And I don't. There is a certain element that of me that's like.
I think
for
that's why
example,
people think
I think the
regular
Astros are
season.
going to win the World Series now after they won last night. I do not think the Phillies are the second best team in baseball. I think they're the hottest team right now. Right? I think they're the hottest team. Go back to something that haunts my dreams. I do not think the St. Louis Cardinals were the best team in baseball in 2011.
No.
I'm not sure the Rangers were, but I don't think the Cardinals were the best team in baseball in 2011. So there's a certain element of me. Anyway, all of that is to say, I would be covering baseball. I think baseball is fascinating. I grew up with baseball, and it's my favorite sport to watch. I mean, I love watching football, obviously, but like as a spectator who can kind of turn your brain off,
right?
That's the one. Because every time I watch football, I don't know if you're like this now. I'm just like sitting there, just like thinking about like all the ramifications. Like it's hard. Last night when I was at the game, I can't turn my brain off. Last night when I was at the game with Hank, I'm like sitting there like. Like kind of break down coverages and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know what this I'm going to cover too. You know, stuff like that. Like, like Hank's just there like, look at the cheerleaders. You know? So, anyway. That it?
Well, I have an answer.
Let's go to Ashley Pickle.
Sir. It's a real toss-up for me between basketball or golf. Basketball or golf. I've told everyone in this office if the Golf Channel comes calling and says, hey, you want to live in Florida and cover golf? Like, see ya. But I have a deep-rooted passion for basketball, but I run into the same issue with basketball as I do with football of that breaking down the coverage. Like, I get irrationally angry about scheme in basketball, so that's why, like, just talking golf is great. You know, like, I enjoy it. I love watching it. I can turn my brain off. It's fantastic. Basketball, I almost get, like, irrationally angry because I'm like, what? Why are you in zone? You know, like, so it's a little mix of both, but that would be my answer.
Okay. Hey, thanks for watching this clip here on YouTube. If you like this kind of stuff and you want more of it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember, you can watch us live every weekday at noon at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, or here on YouTube. And if you want more of the best coverage of football in the state of Texas, check out TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe.